Good morning, Clarkston. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining us for this Sunday's worship service. A few announcements as we begin today. I just wanted to let you know that we have been working diligently with our partners and thinking about return dates in July for our church and for our other congregations. We have been meeting with some of our partners, trying to figure out some of their specific needs and how we can adjust our former normal way of doing things to get everybody back in the building at some point. And so just want to let you know that that's going on and is going to continue to go on for the next couple of weeks. We're going through a lot of transitions in our church. As we have learned by now, things don't stay the same for long, right? Our wonderful renters, the Fuji School, they are moving to their new location at the end of this month. We will miss them. We will miss their energy, and we will miss their spirit and their mission, and we wish them the best. We are dealing with some new cleaning arrangements as we cover our building with a new response that's needed now. Our COVID response requires a completely new focus for cleaning, and soon we will have those details in place as well. And we're starting to search for new partners for our space. Folks who might be able to come in and need an office or need a meeting spot, and we will begin that search very soon as well, in hopes that the fall might come and lead us to a new place, kind of a new future. But remember, as much as it irritates us, that change is good. We need it. It's necessary. Today, our scripture comes from the Gospel of Matthew. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 18, verses 12 through 22. What do you think? If a shepherd has 100 sheep and one of them has gone astray, does he not leave the 99 on the mountains and go and search for the one that went astray? And if he finds it, truly I tell you, he rejoices over it more than the 99 that never went astray. So it is not the will of your Father in heaven that even one of these little ones should be lost. If another member of the church sins against you, go and point out the fault when the two of you are alone. If the member listens to you, you have regained that one. But if you are not listened to, take one or two others along with you, so that every word may be confirmed by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. If the member refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church, and if the offender refuses to listen even to the church, let such a one be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. Truly I tell you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Again, truly I tell you, if 2 of you agree on earth about anything you ask, it will be done for you by my Father in heaven. But where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am among them. Then Peter came and said to him, Lord, if another member of the church sins against me, how often should I forgive? As many as 7 times? Jesus said to him, not 7 times, but I tell you, 77 times. Today, in our reflection on our scripture reading, I want to think about some of the changes that I've actually enjoyed over the last few months. And these changes have all been about church. Over the past 3 months, I have had some pretty wonderful and very unique church experiences. And honestly, these are experiences I haven't had in a number of years. Let me tell you about the church gatherings, the services that I have been to lately. The first service that I've been to lately has been with my family. That's right, my family on a Sunday morning. To be honest, Sunday mornings for the last, 30 years of my life have been pretty scheduled and pretty crazy. And for the last 18 years of my life, my family has been a part of that busyness. We haven't always had a lot of time to spend together on a Sabbath day. Most of it's preoccupied with getting up early, getting some details ready, heading to church, and then meeting me later. Then they might go home while I finish some stuff or catch up with them. So the opportunity to spend Sunday mornings in this unusual break from our regular church services has really been pretty wonderful. Sometimes we've been lazy together, sometimes we've worked in the yard together, sometimes we've gotten out and taken walks or bike rides together. It's been a real type of Sabbath for us as a family, to spend a day that we don't usually get together in this way together. That's a real church service. It's a real holy moment, and I'm grateful for it. About a month ago, we also had a very unique church service take place in our yard. At about 2 a.m. in the morning, we had one of our large trees fall. Fell across our yard and across our just recently planted garden. We weren't really sure what happened in the middle of the night, but we checked it out, saw that everything was okay. It didn't hit the house or didn't hit a power line. And then we got up in the morning to deal with the fallout from the tree. The church service that we experienced was our neighbors from both sides and their families came over, and our friends down the street, without being asked, came over and joined us mid-morning on a Sunday to help us chainsaw, cut limbs, and pick up the mess. I can't tell you how overwhelmed and grateful we were that our friends and their families would feel the responsibility to assist us. But I can tell you something for sure. It was a real church moment. It was as church as it gets when people come together in community to lend assistance and support to their neighbors. The third type of church service that we've been to lately has been gathering with brothers and sisters around the issue of injustice and oppression for our African American community. Protests, marches, gatherings, discussions. We've been a part of that, and we've been a part of that many days on Sundays of the last couple of weeks. We attended the march in Clarkston that went right in front of our own church just last week. And I don't think any of these gatherings and discussions and protests would have quite been possible the same way had we not had a different type of Sunday format lately. Because of that flexibility, we have been meeting people, hearing stories, standing up for a faithful issue of justice with strangers, with people we will probably never see again, and with people that have become new friends, people we stand in solidarity with now because of the struggle that we are all dealing with, but that specifically our African American community is being overwhelmed with. This is church. All of these have been faithful ways to have church. 2 or 3 were gathered, right? We were gathered also for the right reasons, either to nurture and support each other, either to be with family, or to help neighbor and stand with those who are being marginalized. I believe God is pretty happy with each and every one of these unexpected church gatherings that have taken place over the last few months. But maybe not only happy, maybe proud. Maybe proud to see the creation being and doing things that matter. Sometimes our traditional church structure and services make me wonder, are we doing things that matter to God, that matter to our neighbor, that matter to our world? Or are we simply going forward with the things we're comfortable with the things we're familiar with, or just doing what's easy for us. Spending time with my family on a Sunday morning, sure, that's easy, but also unusual and different. Cleaning up a giant tree mess with chainsaws and rakes and friends and neighbors, that's not so easy. But it left us overwhelmed with their support and kindness. Standing up with others of all colors and creeds for justice and fairness, acknowledging that all God's creation is equal and valuable. Standing up to power. That's not easy, but it's definitely worthwhile, and it really matters. If our goal in the next few weeks and into July is to resume church, just to keep it going for the sake of it continuing, that's not really a good enough reason to have church, again, in some of the ways like we used to. If our goal is to simply take things back to how they used to be, that's just not good enough. But if our goal is to be a community that follows Christ and wants to transform the world through faith and love and compassion and justice, then and only then might we be headed in the right direction and be making our Creator happy and definitely proud. Thank you for your presence with us this morning. Thank you for being the church that you are and that we are. And I pray that God will continue to guide us and help us become an even more faithful church that supports our neighbors, that loves our world, that cares for the oppressed, and that builds deeper relationships with our community. Amen.
Good morning, Clarkston. This morning we'll be singing The Church is One Foundation, verses 1, 2, 3, and 5. The church is one